Lisa,
Yes, baby girl.
when I grow up, I want to be a menace to society.
Then so shall you be. Hey, this is Lisa Landry. Welcome back to A Menace to Society. I have the honor and privilege this morning of speaking to a very creative baker who's also making a lot of great change in the world. Please welcome to the podcast the founder and first volunteer of Abolition Bakery, Rita Ballenger.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you for what you're doing. I found out about you and I was like, oh my gosh, I hope she'll come on the podcast and talk about what she's doing. Because
yes.
You're baking items to raise awareness about human trafficking.
That's correct.
How did that come about?
Wow. Well, it came about in a weird way. I retired at the age of 52. My career was working in the operating room as a surgical technologist, and we're the ones who passed instruments during surgery. And then I taught surgical technology at the local community college. And when I retired, the college surprised me with 55 free credit hours, so I enrolled in their culinary program, specifically in the baking track. And during that 2 years that I was learning to bake, I also found out about human trafficking being here in this city and in the United States. And I went to that presentation fully expecting to hear about human trafficking in the third world, not here. And after that, I had a desire in my heart to want to use this new skill of baking to somehow help the human trafficking cause, but I didn't know what that would look like. And so it was an idea that was rattling around in my head and in my heart. So really, for the whole 2 years I was in the program. Then toward the end of the program, one day I was at a local strip mall here, and I looked up and I saw a new store opening up. And I had the idea that maybe that store would want to sell my sourdough bread. I have a sourdough bread, and the starter is literally over 30 years old.
Oh, wow.
And yes, and so I went in there, and the owners weren't even there. It was actually still under construction, but the construction workers gave me the owner's name, and I made a cold call, and they said, yes, bring those loaves in, and we'll try it. And he said that him and his wife loved it, so they said they would carry it, and that was the beginning of Abolition Bakery.
So you had this idea kicking around in your head and this feeling in your heart for a few years, and you didn't know what was going to happen. You were just kind of getting the recipe ingredients together, and then you walked in, and there it was.
Yes, and once I started selling the bread, the bakery took on a life of its own. First of all, people immediately embraced the idea and wanted to buy the products and come and help volunteer, because the mission of Abolition Bakery is twofold. The first thing is that it exists to raise awareness of human trafficking, and the second is that we will then donate proceeds to organizations that serve human trafficking survivors. We do that by remaining volunteer-operated and home-produced. And so right away, people were on board. There was never one person, Lisa, who said, this is a bad idea, you shouldn't do it. Everybody was like, yes. And then, one friend would have this idea, we should sell this, we should do that, we should do this farmer's market. And the bakery just took on a life of its own.
I'm glad for everything you're doing and that things came together for you and the people who are involved in your project and your bakery. But when you said just a few moments ago that you had no idea that you were going to find out about human trafficking here in America and in your own backyard, you thought it was going to be third world. I had no idea, Rita, until I started doing this podcast and I interviewed some women in California. We have more people in slavery right now than ever before.
Oh, yes, and there's so many different faces to it. And so another thing that I do is I do presentations. Mm-hmm. My favorite presentation that I do is for middle and high school kids. The idea behind the presentation is I show them a 20-minute movie, and it has two different stories, and it's about two different young girls who were trafficked in very different ways. And then we go through and we identify the signs. Who was the trafficker? Who was the recruiter? Things like that. So that, and the idea is to make people aware, because this is going on around us, and people don't know, they don't know how to identify it, but it's going on all the time around us with a lot of different faces, but there's always signs that are consistent, and when you know those signs, then you can do something about it.
Well, what should we look for? I know we don't have 20 minutes for you to tell us all about the movie, but what should we look for? Can you give us 3 basic things that we could look out for?
Yes, you can look out for, sometimes it could look like an older boyfriend with a young girl. That's one thing it could look like. But sometimes it could even be family members who are doing this to one another. So sometimes you can identify it and sometimes you can't. Sometimes it might look like a situation where somebody is with somebody else and it looks like they're very oppressed. They're afraid to talk. Something doesn't look right. Maybe they're not dressed properly for the weather, something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where they're just in a situation where you just know that there's something wrong. They're not relaxed. They're not there's something's off about the relationship. And so what I do is we have a human trafficking task force phone number, and when I see something that doesn't look right, I will call that number, and it's the sheriff's office here in Cuyahoga County, and I'll tell them what I've seen, and then I'll say, so you decide if you want to follow up on this, and if they do want to follow up on it, the sheriff will call me back, within a couple hours and ask questions. And if not, they're the ones who make that call. So when you're, being proactive, you're not putting yourself in any type of dangerous situation.
Yeah, you're not calling 911 and leaving your name and all that stuff. You're just going to call a task force. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so when you're calling a specific number for human trafficking, there's a national hotline number also. But if you're calling those numbers, they're the experts. They're the ones who can say, yeah, that sounds a little suspicious, something that we need to check into or not. Also, the first part of the mission is to raise awareness of human trafficking. Mm-hmm. So all of our business cards and all of our literature that we send out have information. It'll either have the human trafficking national hotline number, it will have the website address, and the one pamphlet that we have also have on the back of it, and it has 10 things to know about sex trafficking. And then at the bottom it has a phone number. So, like I said, people just can become more aware, even just by buying a bakery product.
If we want to support you, we can go online and we can order your cupcakes. I know that you do other things, but you're kind of known for your cupcakes now, huh? Your bouquets?
The bouquets, yes, that was another idea that was rattling around in my head and in my heart for another 2 years. And so I love flowers, and so I thought I want to do something with, flowers. And I would see these bouquets online, but every time I went to make them, they would fall apart. And they'd look gorgeous, and I'd leave it on the dining room table, and the next morning the frosting would have fallen off, or the cupcake would have fallen apart. And so that went on, oh boy, like I said, for a year or two. And at one point I even gave up and thought, well, it really just can't be done. It just isn't possible. But then I just kept doing more research and just kept working on it more until I was able to just find the right consistency of cake, the right consistency of frosting, and just figuring out how to support it so that it wouldn't fall apart. And they are very stable now, and they're beautiful. I love making them. They're really basically custom ordered. So it's fun for me when somebody calls and they'll say, oh, I want it to be these colors, or I want it to have this type of design. And then it's fun for me to figure out how to make that for them and to see what kind of flowers are going to be available. So really, I have an idea in my head, but I really don't exactly know how it's going to turn out until it's finished. And whenever they're finished, I just think, wow, it's just so pretty. I love doing them.
They're really gorgeous. And this is such an ugly topic, and you're bringing so much awareness to an evil that's going on in this world. And you're doing it in the most beautiful way. Because
I appreciate that.
Well, they're gorgeous. I wouldn't even eat them. If somebody gave me one of your bouquets, I would put it in my home and just make people look at it. I would never eat it.
That could be a problem, yeah. And then by the time you go to eat it, it'll be nice and stale, but...
And, yeah, that would make me not eat it even more.
That's right, yeah. No, they are free. And, even when I make one, I'll make it a few hours before the customer comes to pick it up, and I will just put it on the dining room table like it's part of my home, and I'll just enjoy looking at it for a while until they have to take it from me.
They're gorgeous. So you said that there's a second tenet to your mission. There's a second part.
Yes, and that is donating proceeds. And so, we donate funds and we donate bakery to human trafficking organizations. Like, for example, the Collaborative to End Human Trafficking, they're the organization that gave, I was part of their presentation that I told you about. And then I took their training to become a presenter also. So they have their annual fundraising luncheon every September. And so we've been doing like a giveaway piece of bakery to everybody who attends. So this year we made 450 logo cookies. And so that was a gift to them. And but it was a lot of fun. It took a lot of volunteers. Everybody has fun doing it. We also, like I said, give away proceeds. If you look on the website, there's a page that has all the recipients that we've donated to. But we've donated over $10,000 in the last 7 years to various organizations.
That's amazing. That's a lot of money that you're generating. And y'all are volunteers. Everybody's volunteering.
Everybody's a volunteer. Everybody's a volunteer. But it's fun. Like, for example, I had 2 women over here this week, and we made 24 pounds of icing for a big order coming up next week. So, we worked for 2 hours straight, but we had fun talking and carrying on. And then afterwards, I made a little bit of lunch for us, and we had a little bite to eat, and then they went on their way. But, both of them were saying how much fun they had doing it. I think, women especially like to get together and talk and have a project together. It's kind of like the old quilting bees or something like that, or sewing circles. But I think the reason this works, too, is because, us common people who don't work for the FBI or whatever, we feel like we're doing something to make a difference for human trafficking survivors. And so, nobody is intimidated to come over to somebody's house and, package cookies or, make cupcakes or make icing. So I think that's another reason why the mission works. It gives people an outlet to do something.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think a lot of people would get more involved if we only knew what should we do, where do we focus, how can we do this?
Exactly, yeah. It just seems like a David and Goliath fight, but we just want to keep chipping away at it a little bit at a time and just keep creating awareness. It's not uncommon. I remember one of my customers took a bouquet to a party and told them about Abolition Bakery. And, there were people at the party who said, I had no idea that human trafficking, existed. And so it's just showing up with a bouquet is a type of awareness.
And that is part of the battle, educating people.
Exactly.
Slavery is the third largest industry on the planet right now. Human trafficking is the third way that people are generating money. Not good people, but criminal peoples.
Yes.
So what's next? What are you going to do over there, Rita? In Cleveland.
Well,
you're in Cleveland, right?
Yes, I'm in Cleveland, yes. Well, Abolition Bakery was voted by the Cleveland Magazine as the best in Cleveland for cupcake bouquets. Mm-hmm. So that was a big honor, and so we were mentioned in the Cleveland Magazine this month. Best of Cleveland Party, is next week, Friday, October 25th, and it's at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They expect 1,000 participants, and so Abolition Bakery will be there with bouquets on display and samples. And so we've made nearly 1,000 little mini cupcakes for people to sample as they're walking through. And so that'll be our big thing for October. And then unfortunately, I have to have both my feet operated on. So I have one surgery planned for November and one planned for December. So our Christmas season might look a little bit quieter than it normally does, but we'll see how I recover. So that's what the immediate future looks like.
Well, I'm very sorry to hear that you're going to need surgery and a little recuperation time, especially during the Christmas season. But I'm really excited for you having the honor of being voted best cupcake bouquets in Cleveland and going to the Hall of Fame for a big shindig, because that's something.
I know. It really is. It really is. And when I say that, I just want to, always say that I'm standing on the shoulders of many volunteers. And so this isn't me just plugging along on my own. This is many people who come alongside of me and help. And so even though I'm the one talking, just please know that there's an army of volunteers behind me making this happen.
So if we wanted to go to Abolition Bakery, can we get those cupcake bouquets delivered through the mail, or are there other options if we want to support you and your army of volunteers?
Yes. Unfortunately, we can't ship those. They're just too delicate.
Mm-hmm.
Probably our biscotti would be the most shippable product. But you can look on the website, and people can contact me through the website. And but I have had people who've come in from out of town and done web searches on bouquets, before they showed up, and they found Abolition Bakery, and they ordered a bouquet, and then they took it to a graduation party or something here in Cleveland that they came for. So people from out of town do utilize Abolition Bakery.
Oh, if I were in the tri-state, I would definitely come over and put that in the back of my car and have it for lunch. I would do that. I might share it at a party, but maybe not. I don't know. It depends on how hungry I was. Well, Rita, thank you so very much for everything you're doing. Good luck and a speedy recovery with your surgeries. And for listeners, Christmas is coming up, Hanukkah's coming up, Kwanzaa's coming up. You might want to order some biscotti and help Rita and her volunteers raise awareness. They are fighting human trafficking right there in Cleveland, Ohio. They're also spreading their message across the nation and throughout the planet. You can get involved. It's really easy. abolitionbakery.com. Thank you so much, Rita.
Thank you, Lisa. I really appreciate you asking me to be on your podcast.
I really appreciate everything you're doing to make a huge difference in making the planet a better place and to save and protect children and others who have made it out of being trafficked.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rita Ballenger, for everything you're doing and for taking the time to come and speak with my listeners and me. Y'all, please do support abolitionbakery.com. We have about 40 million people on the planet right now who are enslaved. They are being trafficked. They're being used for sex work, which would be rape in their case. They are being used to work in your nail salons, do your dry cleaning, do your landscaping, do your agricultural business. All kinds of stuff is happening that we don't know about until we hear about it, and then you can get involved and do something. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please find me at lisalandry.com. You can sign up for my YouTube channel there. If you do, you'll know when each new podcast drops. As y'all know, it's a different time every Woman is Wednesday. Shout out Ari Bear. I love you so much. I'm going to get you a cupcake bouquet next time I see you, monkey face.